Arabic and Farsi books because of what happened many decades ago. Sometimes people ask, because it's almost become a thing that where I'm just always talking about Arabic book distribution, how can we increase that, why haven't you ordered more books, almost like an obsession. So sometimes people ask, how did I get involved with all this? And to understand how I got involved, we have to explain how Prabhupada evolved me, how I evolved because of my experiences with Srila Prabhupada. And the title of this little presentation is Prabhupada's Arabian Miracles. And I was going to show a little teaser, because I'm living in LA, not far from Hollywood, so it's normal to do that, but let's see. But there's some very exciting things I'm going to show you. So to understand how I got involved with this, I have to briefly discuss how I felt in several steps, how Prabhupada brought me to what I'm doing right now. First, it seemed that he wanted to show me that he is not from this world, that there is no question about his divinity, and that it should affect me down to the very core of my being. This indeed happened at the Detroit airport in 1971, where the devotees had gathered and had come from all over the eastern half of the United States at least, converging on that airport. And so we started to hear a big raucous screaming at the gate, and they said, Prabhupada's coming up. There was an escalator, and but it was walled off. There was a wall, so you would not see Prabhupada until his head would come above that wall. So as Prabhupada started coming up, and I thought everyone was seeing this, but I'll get to that in a second. I saw a light coming out of the stairwell, and I didn't even see Prabhupada yet. It was very bright and pulsating, and I was feeling immediately emotional. And then when Prabhupada's, and please don't mind that I'm describing this, but there's a purpose, as I said, and I think it was very personal. The second Prabhupada's head started to come above that, it was literally like a sunlight that I had never seen. And I got a hint of what it means when they say the effulgence from divine living entities and the Supreme Lord is like 10,000 suns. It was so overwhelmingly bright, but you could still tolerate it. But it came with emotion, and I felt something kind of hit me from the back, and I had to hit the ground, and I just found myself weeping, and that I was seeing the truth for the first time. It was just overwhelming. There was nothing subtle about it. It was very powerful. And when I finally was able to just look around, I saw tears coming from so many eyes. And I thought that was what Prabhupada wanted to show, but that was just the beginning. Usually when we've all been on escalators, you come up and you walk off the escalator. What I was somehow allowed to see is, here's the stairwell end. Prabhupada came up above, and I saw him float over to his Vyasasana and rest in Vyasasana and just start speaking like nothing unusual happened. So this also was so overwhelming, and it was at that moment that there was no questioning again for the rest of my life that Srila Prabhupada is not from this world. He has come from the spiritual world. And it was all based around love. The feeling was an overwhelming feeling of compassion and love. And so in that state of shock, we went over to the Detroit temple, and is it possible to turn these lights off? Haribol, Prabhu? Can you turn these lights off? It'll be easier for people to see. Thank you. So that is Srila Prabhupada and his most fallen servant as a hippie, basically. But I had been living in New Vrindavan. I'm coming up one step behind him, and this is at the Detroit airport after he had revealed all of that. And you can actually see flowers on his shoulder, and on his chadar they had thrown flower petals off the roof of the temple. And he is literally beaming. You can almost see it in the photo. There's an effulgence around him. So, can you, Prabhu, Haribol, can you leave one light on? Just one, like over here. The one on the right. This. Okay, thank you. And so this was the first step in my kind of, no, just off. Thank you. I feel how Prabhupada was getting me ready to just get much more involved with this. In about a month, I was on this bus. I'm in the left-hand corner standing up playing mridanga. And I was the pujari for Rupa Nuga Swami, one of the first sannyasis, in this bus. And we had a fire yajna inside the bus. You can see the aluminum foil on the roof so that we wouldn't burn the bus down. And I was always kind of acting as a pujari. And Prabhupada came on this bus, and I was fortunate to give him Charanamrita and some wonderful pastimes which are not relevant to this happened, especially in the kitchen, I can tell you later, with Prabhupada. But, so I was allowed to directly serve Prabhupada, with the Charanamrita. And a little bit later, I'm trying to speed this up, I found myself on the Nitai Padakamalam boat, which I now cannot find the photo for. Okay, there's a photo on the a boat that left out of Mayapur. We would feed the villagers as we went up and down the Ganges. And Prabhupada also came on the boat, and I happened to be the pujari on the boat, and I gave him, again, Charanamrita. And so I just felt that I had these, I'm sure many of you had far more direct experiences, but for me, I felt these meant something, but then the big one happened, which I call, when I had gone to India, after in Mayapur, I went to Calcutta, and I was able to go into Srila Prabhupada's room, and I had wanted to be a doctor, had a degree in biology, and I call this, with 10 words, he changed my life. Just 10 words. I could go into everything that happened and how I saw he was speaking. When I walked in, he was having a conversation, but there was no one in the room that I could see. So I felt I interrupted maybe a conversation with Narada Muni or his spiritual master. But he basically, as I kept saying, I wanted to study under his Ayurvedic doctor, his Kaviraj. He said, first of all, he said, Ayurveda. He said, Western medicine is very advanced. So he actually pulled the foundation out from my argument, because I really wanted to be a Western doctor, and by him saying Western medicine is very advanced, I couldn't suddenly say, well, I really meant Western doctor, not Ayurveda. So Prabhupada would do that. He would get you to a point where there was no more ability to speak. And then he said the 10 words, just work with my books and be a spiritual doctor. And from that moment, everything changed, because it was kind of in order. But when Prabhupada would give any type of order, the universe would act to comply and make that happen, make it easier to do that. I was immediately pretty much invited on the BBT library party all over India. And then we went outside of India to 14 countries. But while in India, I went to I got a standing order of Prabhupada's books in Kashmir, India, northern India. And it was at a Muslim university, a Muslim-oriented university. And when we came down to speak to Prabhupada, the minute he heard the word Muslim, something happened. We continued to talk, but then he made a statement which is now famous, I think in ISKCON. He said, anyone who preaches in the Muslim world, for anyone who does this, I take the dust from their feet and put it on my head. And I have tried to understand that for 30 years or more. And I have never heard, and I've actually invited people I've challenged people to please tell me something that Prabhupada wanted that was so surcharged with emotion to make a statement like that. You know, I've invited everyone to, you know, let me know if there's something. Of course, Prabhupada wanted so many things. He wanted scientific preaching. He wanted the TOVP, farms, restaurants, so many, but I would like to hear, because I'd like to do that also. You know, what did Prabhupada say that he followed by an emotional statement that if this was done, he would take the dust from the feet of his own disciples and put that on his head? I've never heard anything of that intensity. And basically that's the reason I think maybe he shot me with some mercy, but and he was almost childlike when he heard the word Muslim. There was a beauty about him. And I felt for the first time my connection with my spiritual master at that moment. Even though I was initiated 4 years earlier, there was such a childlike excitement, and I understood what book distribution really is. It is a spiritual, extremely, fully spiritual, exciting event that would turn Prabhupada into with childlike glee, especially with the idea that this could happen with Muslims. And there is a history, a long history, a glorious history of Rupa and Sanatana and Haridas Thakur. There have been some of the greatest acharyas have had a Muslim background. And so I just feel that, you know, that moment was when I felt really connected, and there was no question of kind of doing anything else, but everything started just happening. I was invited to be a director of the BBT. A new division was set up, BBT Far East, Middle East. And I just wanted to go through some of these images that are happening around the world, which people never thought would happen. There had been no general Arabic book distribution ever in ISKCON since ISKCON started. And it was kind of assumed that this is kind of how it would have to stay, because it was unimaginable. And but Prabhupada can do anything, and it just took a little time. This is all completely Srila Prabhupada. And what I said yesterday at the disappearance day, that the best we can ever consider ourselves involved is as an assistant to Srila Prabhupada's mission. Srila Prabhupada, again, is not from this world. He's just unmanifest right now. And he's still very much involved with his ISKCON and certainly with the BBT. We've all had experiences, mystical or spiritual experiences. So let me show you some of these. And if I can get to it. Okay. So this is in, can you see this okay? We should, I'm going to move this aside. This is in New York City. That's the perfection of yoga in Arabic. And this has become almost normal, like a normal scene. It was not at all normal about 8 or 9 years ago. It basically started in Los Angeles by talking with the very sincere book distributors there. They started to do it, but there was a fear, a natural fear, because of events and because of the actions of just a few very disturbed individuals, which painted like a black paintbrush across an entire culture, which meant the serious book distributors that are involved with this, they're stunned at how opposite it is from the conception that even many devotees have. And also, I'll just make a statement about in India, there can be also a strong feeling about that because of the wars that took place between Pakistan and India. And there were kind of terrible events that happened on both sides. But when a person just distributes one Arabic book, there's like a magical thing that happens where they discover that not only are they interested, but they reach out for the book. And as I have some videos, which I'll show you soon, which shows such a elation and a joy in their faces that it's hard to imagine. And I've hardly ever seen that on anyone's faces. And they immediately, they're offered like maracas, like little instruments, and they grab them, and it's like they immediately appreciate that what we have is the real thing, and it's what they're seeking. So let me show a few more of these, and then we'll get to the videos that I'm talking about. This is I just came back from Europe. I did a Europe tour of the temples where they are distributing Arabic books in France, Germany, the UK, and Italy. And this Allison on the right, she became the biggest book distributor, biggest Arabic book distributor in the world. And this is in a little town called Nancy, Nancy, on the near the west side of France. And they started to distribute 4 books at one time, what they call a book stack. And by Krishna's grace, I got the idea that we should increase the book points. I don't know, are there any book distributors here? Well, then you know about book points. That Prabhupada started that. He assigned certain points to a book depending on the size of the book, the thickness, how many pages, because he knew that his Western disciples are very competitive, and he greatly enjoyed when they would practically be, lovingly, but not so lovingly, almost strangling each other to try to get the best scores. And therefore all the book sales went up. So in order to try to encourage the book distributors to get over their fear of Arabic book distribution, it took me a year to do it, but managed to put through the global BBT body, that just for Arabic and Persian, Farsi, the book points will be highly increased, to the extent that a small perfection of yoga, for example, is 1/4 of a point in every other language, but it's 3 points, which is more than a Bhagavad-Gita for Arabic, which means it's 12 times the book points. So this excited the serious book distributors. So here, Allison is one of those. And this is another one. His name is Bhakta Jad. He is also in Nancy. And it was like they captured the number 1, 2, and 3 spots in the world because they got involved with selling these stacks of books. That means you have 4 books, same size, you put a ribbon around it, so it looks like a gift. And it becomes even easier than distributing 1 book alone, because it's like an item. They're not expecting anything, 1 book, 5 books, but it looks like a gift. And that process is becoming very popular. This is Bhaktin Dora. She was the 3rd one in the world. And you see the center, this woman wearing the hijab, I mean, that's a genuine smile. We didn't tell her to smile. And this is, I think, the 4th one, Harini. I'm going to go a little faster because there's some, I'm building up here. This is the Bhagavad-Gita as it is in Arabic. And Daivi Shakti Mataji distributes these right out of the Matchless Gifts. They have all of our books. This was also, the United Nations recently had a conference in Kenya, and 500 Gitas were sent from Vrindavan to Africa. And all of the scholars, the main Sanskrit scholars of Africa came to that, and they all got one of Prabhupada's Gitas. You can see her holding, let me see. She's holding that book stack with the ribbon around it. This was actually done in San Francisco by Vaisheshika Prabhu's team. They're very much involved with this Arabic book distribution. Things are, sorry, it's a little slow. We couldn't get the connectors for my laptop, so we're using the local laptop. These are happening in New York, in Los Angeles. This is the first box of Arabic books ever to arrive in Indonesia. Indonesia is the largest, it's the country with the largest amount of Muslims, Indonesia. And one professor asked for a box of these books, purchased a box for his students who he's working with for Arabic. Even in the subways of New York, this Divyangi is a very big book distributor, distributing to a nice family in the subways. She called it a Christmas set. And this is my lead translator. His name is Pramadan. He's holding the small Arabic books in his hand, just open like that. And this is in Beirut, Lebanon. They just started having yoga studios become established there just for the last year and a half. So they quickly started a yoga studio. You can see the Hare Krishna mantra. These are all Arabs chanting Hare Krishna. And they were reaching for the books. And this one in the back here, right there, she's hugging our female translator and crying because they feel that this is the real thing. They naturally want to go above religion, the Muslims that we see, because in a sense their religion has failed them in many ways. And they're tired of being compared to these other people that have caused all this trouble, who are a tiny, tiny percentage of the 1.8 billion Muslims. So, it's like a relief when they see us. And you'll see that in the videos that I'm going to show you very shortly. There's one phenomenon happening. This is, it's an older one, but this is an example of, we have this World Sankirtan newsletter, which shows the scores. This is just for Arabic book distributors. And you'll see number 9, Bhakti Salim, he's a Muslim. This is a Muslim name. So what's happening is that the preachers going out, they're finding some of these Arabs that are reaching out for the books, and some of them are so serious they're becoming devotees, and then they're becoming Arabic book distributors, and then they're preaching in Arabic to the other Arabs, and then they're becoming the top book distributors in the world, which is worth a Haribo. Haribo! Hare Krishna. I mean, this is one of these miracles I'm talking about. That it's happening very quietly, but the biggest book distributors are Muslim who have taken to Krishna consciousness and have fully surrendered. This was also this Bhakta Jad, who I showed you from Paris, from Rome. He was the #1 in the world. So I would call that a miracle. And this is happening not only in the Western world, but all over. The idea came because we cannot generally go directly into the Middle East and walk down the streets and distribute in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, or Qatar, or even in the UAE. They don't allow that. So the idea came from Super Soul, clearly, to approach the Muslims when they come as tourists and students, when they come to the Western world. And then because they're on temporary visas, they take the books back home with them. And we get letters in Arabic from the Middle East asking for more books. So that's, I guess, another miracle, that we've distributed about 220,000 books, in the last 8 years, and they all find their way back into the Middle East. They told us there's no problem. They have no problem at customs because they're just bringing a few books, 2, 3, or 4 books. It's personal, and the customs understands that these are just, they're souvenirs. A few books on yoga, it's not a problem. If they would bring back boxes of books, yes, there'd be an issue. But this is how the books are getting in. We can't go direct, but almost direct. Prabhupada said there's 2 ways to touch your nose, like this or like this. So we're doing this. And it's almost like the Prabhupada is turning the Muslims themselves into book distributors because they're taking it back home and they're sharing the books with their friends and family. So if 10, if they show it to 10 people, which I have no doubt they would, that's 10 times 220,000, like 2 million seeds. This can grow, very exponentially. And it just started a few years ago. There's also there's some very nice photos in Los Angeles. Mostly tourists come. And this is a nice devotee. On the left, on the right, he's from Barcelona, and he bought a full box of Arabic Gitas and went back to Barcelona, which has had Muslims since the 9th century. They helped to kind of found Spain, and he distributed them all in about 2 weeks. And so we're trying to get more books back to back to Vrindavan here. This is very interesting. This is in Bahrain. This is Dr. Khalifa Yassin bin Aradi, the Director of Arabic and Islamic Studies at the University of Bahrain. And Bahrain is only 24 kilometers from Saudi Arabia. So this is directly in the Middle East. And the professor was so thankful. He was open-minded and so thankful to receive this that he took our book distributor here across the campus, where he was ready to force the library, the acquisitions librarian, to take the book, but he didn't have to. He was also fascinated, and so he took a whole bunch of these books for the university in the Middle East. And you can see it's almost like these are the previous kings of Bahrain, and they're looking down, smiling. So this is like the parampara of Bahrain. So we just have a few more, and then I'm going to show something that I hope may excite you. This is in Kuwait, which is also a full-on Muslim country in the Middle East. And this very nice devotee, he learned that during Ramadan, after the Ramadan fast, they are wishing to receive blessings. So he made them understand that by taking an Arabic Bhagavad-Gita, this is the best blessing they could get. So you can see he's distributed inside of a car, all over the place. He's distributing the Arabic books. So it's happening, basically all over Europe, UK, Australia, United States, Canada, also in India. A lot of the students in South India, a good amount of them come from the Middle East. They come to study in South India. Maybe it's less expensive, or they're just interested in India. So they stand in the FRO lines, getting ready to register. So that's where the devotees distribute the books. This is in Los Angeles. And these are 3 Egyptian brothers here, holding the books, smiling. After this, they went into the temple. These are, again, Muslim. They went in the temple, looked at Rukmini Dwarkadish in Los Angeles, and put their palms together. So one more miracle. In other words, the experience of the transcendental involvement they have in getting these books, it transcends any conditional understanding of, or blocking any understanding of what is God, and they just naturally feel it's like a soul awakening for them, and they don't have a problem. It's just very natural for them to see the deities. This is when we first offered the Gita to Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles.
What year was it?
This was 2018, very recent. And we have many, this boy on a street in Los Angeles, he wanted the book so much that he went over to his father asking for money, and the father didn't want to do it, and he started to get very emotional. And then the father, he had to give him the money, and so he bought the book. So I don't know, there was some wonderful karma involved there. This is in Germany. Like I said, I just came back from Germany. Germany was also #1 in Arabic book distribution. This is just a little, if I click on this, can you hear it also? Is the audio there? Can I hear it if I click on the video? I'll just try.
The mic computer.
I don't know where to put that. This is a microphone?
Oh.
No, I need a microphone. Okay. Yeah. Please stand by, technical difficulties. you have it up? Oh, Krishna. Where can I plug this in? Wait.
To get exposed to spiritual knowledge, who are really craving spiritual knowledge. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And we get people from all walks of life. People from Turkey and Iran, Middle East, and China. And these are like territories where these books might not even be allowed there because they're under heavy rule. But when they come here, they finally get a chance to get exposed to spiritual knowledge that can really benefit them. And it's really wonderful to see their reactions. So I feel very happy to distribute these books. And I can also attest to how happy people feel when they see these books. So that's what we call a win-win situation.
Were you able to hear that? Yeah, that was actually Jai Chaitanya, who was the #1 book distributor for any language in the world. He was very excited about this. While I have that hooked up, I want to just show you these last 3 little videos, and then if we have any questions, I'd really like to hear them. So you see, this is real. That's, they are in bliss right now. He just gave them the book, these small Arabic books, and he said marhaba, which means hello, welcome. And they're thrilled to be brought in. This is just the first one. They get better. Once more. Is that a miracle or what? Hare Krishna. If you saw that, she was the wife. This was a beautiful little family, and the wife told her husband to tell their mother to give a donation. And she gave a $5 donation, and she got the books. And it's so, the thing that's really remarkable, and it's really hard to describe in words, is their instantaneous rapport or feeling of very great closeness with the devotees instantly who are chanting. They don't really understand the words, but they instantly realize this is a spiritual connection with God. And they want to help, and they want to dance with us, and there's no confusion in their minds. I think these are, the ones that are there, they're very advanced souls, because they're instantly understand that this is their Allah in musical form and spiritually. This is God. I just want to show that again. And this is the last one. I have a whole bunch of these. One of the devotees who goes out on Sankirtan, he said he's dedicated to making videos of the Muslims chanting and dancing with us. But this is happening worldwide. It also happens in London. It happens in Sydney. It happens in New Zealand. It happens in France, where there's 6 million Muslims. So this is where you see it live. Also, if you're distributing books, the book distributors see it every day. This woman, Muslim wearing the hijab, was so blissed out that she danced off screen, and she was like praying, "This is Allah, this is Allah." I have to show you one thing with this. Like this, like she really couldn't believe what was happening. She was like a little, confused, but knew it was good, and then she's in bliss. I mean, I just see so many times they're so elated by dancing and singing with us. And they've often said they wish they had musical instruments and singing and dancing in their religion, because they said, we know this is bringing us closer to God. So, is this okay? Is it a little inspiring, I hope? Yes, I'm going to ask for questions. And, basically we are This is one of the newest divisions. It's unlike India or America, where they've been around for 40 years. So, we need help in every way. If anyone's interested in helping in any imaginable way, please approach. And even to help us run it, and if you know someone that could help us print books, because this is an explosion. It's like a revolution that's happening in ISKCON. And it's growing and growing, and Srila Prabhupada wanted it so much he was almost crying when he said he takes the dust from the feet of anyone who does it and puts it on his head. So you can't get any more mercy from Prabhupada than this. There's nothing that's been ever recorded or even spoken about anecdotally that Prabhupada said more than this or even equal to it. So just keep us in your heart, okay? We need help. Any questions, please? Yes. Oh, it's...
The Prabhu is playing Mridanga on the head.
Huh?
The Prabhu is playing Mridanga in bit head. Prabhu's son. This Prabhu's son.
Yes. Forgot to mention that. This is Prithu Prabhu's son chanting, and he's leading the chanting in Los Angeles. So you should really get involved. I don't know. But are there any questions? I mean, please challenge, any challenging questions, any supportive, challenging, anything that's confusing?
Hare Krishna. Probably I think slowly you have solved the world's problem. So if you are doing it from past 4 years.
I'm sorry, say.
18 you started now with this Urdu version.
No, this is Arabic.
Arabic. So Arabic is the only language the Muslims they read. Like Malaysia, you said you are distributing. They also read this Arabic version.
No. There's many Arabs throughout the world who read Arabic. In some places, there are very few who read Arabic because they generally have to study Arabic in the madrasa to read the Quran. So there's some of them read it, but in generally, like for example in Bangladesh, they are Muslim, but they speak Bengali. And in Malaysia, they don't speak so many, there's not so many who speak Arabic. But they're all over the world. As I said, there's 6 million Arabic speakers in France. There's even more than that in Germany. On one street in London called Edgware Road, there's over 100,000 Arabs and businesses on that one single street. So they're everywhere. There's 1.8 billion. That's like a third of the world's population.
Okay, in that street, how many have we sold Arabic?
We've done, it's like a part of a drop in the bottom of a big bucket, but it's something. We've distributed about 220,000 books, about almost 250,000 books. And that's in like, 5-6 years, something like that. So you can't, Prabhupada once said that an Arabic book equals 10,000 of any other book, spiritually speaking. So this is a baby, and it's growing. And it's starting to grow exponentially. And it helps that we have the higher book points, so that the serious book distributors are extremely interested. And they're telling us the only reason that they are not buying constantly is because we only have 4 books. We need more Lakshmi. We have the books all ready to print. Also in Persian, Farsi, we have all the books ready to print. And we even have orders for the books for the last 5 years, but we don't have the Lakshmi to print it, which is kind of criminal because the orders are there. They want the books all over the world, but it just costs money to print books, and we don't have access. So,
You mean BBT does not have the funds?
well, there's a long, I could go into it, but I'm just saying that each division of the BBT is like a separate publishing house, and so they have their own reasons why they need to have their money and this and that.
This is really criminal, what you told.
Well,
You should have funds for this, Prabhu.
I know, so please ask your billionaire friends to help, please.
And the second thing, how they have accepted the bad ones.
The what?
The bad people, they don't want, like in Bangladesh, we are doing very good preaching. That is the reason why they are attacking. So, after knowing they have this Urdu version, Persian versions, how are they reacting? The bad ones, good ones of course they will accept. The bad ones, is there any reaction?
Well, in the, all over the Western world, and even the places I say in India, my name, my email address is on the back page of every book. And I'm inviting comments. Not even one time have I gotten any complaints. And they could send me bad complaints from the Middle East if they wanted, because the books go back there. So we haven't experienced that. And also in the, like as bad as it ever got in Los Angeles, there was a group of 3 boys, and they were like young, rebel rousers, as they say. They were looking for trouble. And one of our most seasoned, expert, Indian-bodied book distributors, he said, here's a book in Arabic, and they said, what is this? We have Quran? And he just very calmly said, that's very nice. This will teach you to become a better Muslim, because it is the ancient knowledge from India. And they all have an interest in India, which is a nice doorway for us. They're fascinated with ancient India. Sometimes the women wear saris just for play, and they like Hindi movies. So, but what happened then was an elder Muslim came up, and he chastised the 3 boys. He said, these are genuine people. He told them that in Arabic. And then he demanded that they buy the books. So that's as bad as it ever got in the last 9 years. But are there, difficult areas in the world? Yes. But I bet even in Bangladesh, if you would approach students at University of Dhaka or any university, they would be quite open-minded about this and actually fascinated that we have these books in there, because they consider Arabic a sacred language. That's another reason why they're amazed when the book distributor comes up to them, showing a book in their sacred Arabic. No one gives them anything in Arabic, ever. So it means so much to them that we cared for them that much. And some of them start tearing up, they start crying. It's an incredible experience. It's really on the, I don't know if you know these phrases, there's something called the cutting edge, but this is beyond that. It's the bleeding edge. This is the most pioneering thing that we can do as a society. And you can imagine if we make 100 devotees tomorrow in America, among Americans who speak English, that's very nice. If we made 100 Muslims into devotees and they're becoming book distributors, that might be a lot more amazing. So we're getting to that point where some of the best book distributors in Europe are now Muslim. Yeah. And they're the best distributors because they're speaking in Arabic to the Arabic-speaking people.
You have laid the foundation stone for solving the problems of the world, because the problem starts from this sector. So we did not have anything up until now. So now you are addressing that, it should solve all the problems.
Yes, well.
And about the 3 brothers in LA, what you did, was it an instant reaction, or did they go read the book and come back
No,
to the temple?
they came back on Harinam with the devotees. They had purchased the books, and they came back to the temple, and they were so, they were in a spiritual consciousness, and they walked into the temple like it was natural and just went like that.
And that is of course natural, and if this is the reaction just by hearing, and if they read it and then come back, maybe.
Yes.
Very good.
Are there any other?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Come on, there's some of you. You're such brilliant, wonderful devotees. Did you doubt something?
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
I would like to share some thoughts with you. Because I'm from Muslim background.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm often asked if I'm converted to Hindu, or when I converted to Hindu. I said I never converted to Hindu, because Krishna consciousness is universal thing. So we are not about making another religion. And because we are preaching in Kazakhstan, basically Muslim country. And we had a lot of emotional experiences. Like once in one small town, I was caught by a group of people with big birds, took me in a car and said, "We're going to break your legs and cut your head off."
Because
I was in Vaishnava clothes with steel, and they said, "What are you doing in our town?" And then they were talking very roughly to me. And then I asked them, first I was like, became a little bit excited, and then I asked them, "Are you Muslims? Who are you? Are you Muslims?" And they became surprised and said, "Of course we are Muslims, can't you see?" And then they said, "Why your tongue is talking like that? Why do you pronounce such bad things?" And they had repented. And they all apologized to me many times. And so my message is that we need to recognize the Muslims not as a counterpart, but as a devotees.
yes,
So we don't need really to convert them, but to recognize their dignity and share the best we have, because this is the way Krishna consciousness turns.
yes. And if I gave the idea that we're converting, then please forgive me, because in a sense, every one of us in this room and every devotee that ever became initiated had a previous religion. Or they may be listening, or they may still be following that religion in some way. But again, we're not a religion. This is Sanatan Dharma. This is transcendental knowledge. It's just what we are. We're spirit. So this is why the Muslims that we've met, and the 220,000 that have gotten the books, they got the books because they felt we brought them above religion. They don't want to stay there. You know, they're quite, that's why I said they're very serious about God, about spiritual life. And they don't want to get messed up in all of these arguments happening, or worse, on the religion level. So we're just teaching the science of Krishna consciousness, you know. So I agree with you. Yes, Prabhu.
2 years ago, I was in Palestine. And immediately I was on the road.
It's hard to hear.
I was on the road in the temple in Palestine. And he was a Muslim before. And he told me, asked him, how did that work with your parents?
How did they what?
How did your parents react to that?
Parents.
And he said they were extremely upset.
Extremely what?
Upset. They were very upset. Angry. So they went to the mullah and complained. And the mullah said, if you come, I'm going to talk to him. So when they came, there were 3 mullahs sitting. They wanted to hear. So now you tell us what this is all about. And so he explained to them Krishna consciousness in a non-sectarian way, saying that God has no names. They know that Allah has 99 names. So 99 was spoken to the year of Catholic. So anyway, so the Muslims, mullahs listened very carefully. And then they said, you want to talk about it in private. They went to the trainer and there. And they came back and said to the parents, this is the genuine religion.
This is the what? I'm sorry.
Genuine religion. He said,
Yes.
It's not our religion. It is a genuine religion in worshiping God. There's no doubt about it. You should allow him to do that. It's a good thing.
Jai Haribo. Yeah, it's pretty common when if we many of us have experienced that our parents were very upset when we became devotees also. But that's an example of their open-mindedness when they understand the facts. Anyone else? Any wonderful Vaishnavis here? Oh, I guess we can't put the mic further. Okay.
Yeah, if nobody's there. So I just met a Bengali boy yesterday. He was telling how the mullahs, they themselves are coming and taking prasadam. But prasadam is distributed. And that is the reaction, why they are attacking our temples in Bengal. Because the mullahs are coming and taking prasad. The point was there.
Thank you for coming, Narayani. Hare Krishna. Yeah, I just said that. Thank you. Well, if there are no further questions, I'm just going to take the whole 6:30, 5 more minutes, because there are more photos here, but... Well, since on this side you don't seem to have any questions, I assume that you agree with everything I said, so. I'm just seeing if there's any more highly interesting ones. So many college students get the books all over the world, at the University of London, all over the States, Canada, and France, in South India, and those are the most open people, the students and the tourists, and they're the ones that bring the books back home.
Free or you are taking money?
Say again?
Free? Are you giving it?
No, you don't give books free. Yes. Yeah, you have to get donation, because that increases the benefit hundreds of times. Sometimes on the Harinam, because he's playing the mridanga, Prithu Prabhu's son doesn't have 3 arms, so he can't collect. So in those situations, they're sponsored by the other book sales. But the devotee in the first video, where he's giving them the fist bump, he usually collects the Lakshmi. It's very important to get donations. Yeah, even on the beaches of Venice Beach in Los Angeles, there were 5 students who got the books. It happens this is in London, on Oxford Street and the University of London. This is Adi Karta Prabhu, big book distributor, distributing in Arabic perfect questions, perfect answers on Oxford Street, London. And here you can see this. Before, we only had this photo of an Arab lady dancing, but now we have videos, as we just showed you. And there's something about the smiles they have. They're so beautiful. I think so. I mean, they're just so, it's like they've discovered spiritual paradise. And she's holding 3 books in her left hand.
emotions cannot be on the side. They stop and they completely fascinated and feel
Yes.
every time. And then you say, Alhamdulillah. Yes.
What is it?
Alhamdulillah. You're very prayer.
Yes, that's a good point. They especially have this fascination for this, and they just they want to get into it immediately. That's what I'm saying. It's amazing that there's nothing wrong with these people. There's everything right. And, you know, my struggle, I have this joke that I say that I've never, even one time, had a problem with a Muslim. It's with the devotees. To try to, you know, pull them out of possible bodily consciousness. And, because that's not right. You know, we have to recognize, we have to discriminate, you know, that this discrimination is intelligence. You don't say that an entire culture of 1/3 the population of the world is all bad because of some crazy people. If you,
Very few.
yeah, extremely few.
Are there any photos of devotees distributing in India?
Say again?
In India.
What's the question?
Are there any devotees distributing in India with Arabic books?
Selling the books?
Yeah.
Yes. In South India, in Chennai, in Bangalore, also in Delhi. There's a hospital, I don't know the name of it. It's a famous tourism hospital, tourist hospital, where people come to get, yeah, they get operations for 20% of the cost in their own country. And it's filled with Arabs. And so they set up a table outside and they were selling like crazy. You know, and, you know, but it's common sense. You have to be careful. 2 brahmacharis thought, but before they did it at the hospital, 2 brahmacharis got very excited in Delhi, and they thought, we're going to, you know, distribute Arabic books. Where's the best place to go? Let's go to a mosque, a masjid. So they went inside. Listen, Pritu. They went inside the mosque, you know, with the Gitas, and they were chased out by the priests. And they had to run. They didn't have any weapons, but they were chased out, and they dropped the Gita. And so Prabhupada said spiritual life is, you know, 80% common sense. Would we appreciate if some Muslims came into the Krishna Balaram Mandir with the Quran? And so, no, we wouldn't appreciate that. Maybe we would gently say this is not the right place, you know, but so then they thought, let's do it at the hospital. And I said, thank you very much. You know, it's, so, you know, it's, if it's done with care, the nice attitude of the Muslims naturally come out. And, you know, there's ways to deal with things, you know. If there's no more questions, I thank you so much for coming. And if you want to know anything more or want to help in any way, please do, you know, talk to me. I'm here for about a month. Satya Narayan, they know me at MVT. But thank you so much. Prabhupada wants this so much. I want to, in closing, Vaisheshika Prabhu put together something, because he's selling a lot of Arabic books out of the ISV. Yeah, I don't think I can do it because this is not my computer. Anyway, he made a nice video just begging any possible donor to please take the books because Prabhupada wanted it so much. He really expressed himself that how much Prabhupada wanted it. Prabhupada never made a statement about taking the dust from anyone who does it. He never made that about any other devotional service. So maybe sometime in the future I can show that. But this is a very unique type of pioneering preaching, and it's working, and it's safe, and it's proven itself 220,000 times. Before this, a long time ago in the 70s, some very bold, courageous devotees like Gravanari and Tribhuvanath went into war zones in the Middle East and trying to distribute Arabic books. That's glorious, but it's not a safe, methodical way to do it, obviously. It's not something that could be done on a sustained basis. It just makes them glorious. But now we have a process that's happening every day in the world now. There's Arabic books being distributed somewhere in the world, whether it's Europe, USA, Germany. Every single day there's Arabic books being distributed in this careful way, and they're all finding their way back into the Middle East peacefully, and it's being shown around by the families and friends. So thank you for being a part of this by listening to this. If you want to know any more, please let me know. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories, all glories, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.